Let's cut the fluff. Let's rip the Band-Aid off, because the truth, it's ugly, it's raw, and it's destroying millions of lives every single day. Most people will stay broke forever, not because they're dumb, not because they're cursed, not because life is unfair, but because they refuse to face the mirror and admit the simple, brutal reality. The reason they're broke is them. I know that stings. You don't want to hear it. You want to believe it's the government, the economy, the rich getting richer, your boss, your upbringing, the system, inflation, your parents. You want to believe it's something else, anything else but you. But listen carefully, that's the very mindset that chains people to a life of struggle. Because the second you give away responsibility, you give away power. And the moment you lose power, you lose control over your future. Look around you. How many people do you know who complain about money every single day? They're broke on Friday, broke on Monday, broke on payday. And what do? They grab another drink, binge another show, scroll for another hour, and then cry that nothing ever changes. Here's the harsh truth. Nothing changes if nothing changes, and broke people hate that truth. They want a shortcut. They want a lottery ticket. They want someone to swoop in and save them. They want life to be easier instead of becoming stronger. And that's why they stay broke. I'll tell you a story. I remember sitting across from a young man at a coffee shop in New York. He wanted advice. He said, "David, I want to be successful. I want to be rich. I want freedom." So I asked him one question. "What did you do last night?" He said, "Oh, I watched Netflix, chilled out, played some games." I asked, "How many hours?" He shrugged, maybe 4 or 5. And I just stared at him, because right there, I already knew his future. Not because I'm a psychic, but because your habits write your destiny. You can't complain about being broke while living like you're retired. You can't cry about not having money while wasting time like it's endless. And you can't keep saying someday when every day you're digging the same hole deeper. America is filled with opportunities. The UK is filled with opportunities. The world is exploding with opportunities. Yet people keep saying there are no chances, no doors, no luck. But the truth is, the doors are there. You just won't get up off the couch and knock. And let me make this crystal clear. Being broke is not about your bank account. It's about your mindset. Some of the wealthiest people I know started with nothing, less than nothing. Immigrants with no English, single mothers with 2 jobs, college dropouts with debt. And yet they rose, not because the world handed them a silver spoon, but because they refused to accept excuses. Meanwhile, some people making $80,000 a year are still broke. Why? Because every dollar leaves faster than it enters. Because they can't stop buying, can't stop spending, can't stop pretending they're richer than they are. They don't invest, they don't save, they don't learn, they just consume. And then they wonder why their life never levels up. Broke isn't a number. Broke is a cycle of excuses, a cycle of comfort, a cycle of distractions. And until you stand up, break that cycle and say, enough, I refuse to live like this another year. You'll stay trapped in it. So let me ask you this. How many more years will you waste being broke? How many more times will you look at your bank account with shame? How many more nights will you lie awake wondering why your life isn't moving forward? Because here's the reality. Every year you waste is another year you're not building wealth, not building freedom, not building the life you dream about, and the clock doesn't stop. You think you have time, but you don't. And maybe right now you're angry at me for saying all this. Good. Because anger is energy. Anger means you care. Anger means somewhere deep down, you know I'm right. So channel that anger. Don't waste it. Don't just nod your head and go back to scrolling. Decide right now that you will not be another statistic, that you will not be another person who stays broke forever because you couldn't master your habits, your mindset, and your discipline. You have one life, one chance. And if you blow it making excuses, you'll regret it until your last breath. So here's your wake-up call. Being broke is a choice. Staying broke is a choice. And from this day forward, you choose differently. Excuses. That's the number one currency of broke people. They spend excuses like billionaires spend dollars. It's not the right time. I'm too tired. I don't know how. What if I fail? Excuses, excuses, excuses. Let me tell you something brutal. Excuses pay zero bills. Excuses build zero wealth. Excuses buy zero freedom. And the worst part, excuses feel good in the moment. They let you sleep at night. They let you justify your laziness, your scrolling, your lack of progress. They are the perfect drug, cheap, easy, and deadly. But here's the truth. Every excuse you make today becomes a prison wall tomorrow. One excuse at a time, you're building your own cell. And one day you'll wake up and realize you're locked in a cage made entirely of your own choices. Now let's talk about habits. Your habits are killing you, not because you don't have goals. Everyone has goals. But goals mean nothing without habits. Think about it. How many times have you said, I'll start Monday? How many times have you promised yourself, this is my year? And how many times have you ended up in the exact same place or worse? Why? Because habits don't care about your promises. Habits don't care about your motivation. Habits don't care about your goals. Habits only care about repetition. If your daily habits are Netflix, Instagram, junk food, and gossip, then your future is already written. If your daily habits are discipline, learning, saving, investing, and grinding, then your future is also already written. Your life today is nothing more than the result of your habits yesterday, and your life tomorrow will be nothing more than the result of your habits today. Now let's add comfort zones to the mix. Comfort zones are dream killers. Comfort zones whisper, you're fine. Don't push, don't risk, don't try. And most people listen. They stay in the same job, the same paycheck, the same routine, the same neighborhood year after year because comfort zones trick them into believing that survival is enough. But survival isn't life. Survival is slavery because when you're only surviving, you're not living, you're existing. Do you know why successful people look insane to the average person? Because they're willing to do what's uncomfortable. They're willing to wake up at 5 a.m. to study while others party, to invest while others spend, to risk while others play safe. And that's why they win. Not because they're lucky, not because they're special, but because they're willing to suffer today for a life most people will never taste. Comfort zones destroy wealth because wealth demands growth, and growth never happens in comfort. Growth happens when you're sweating, when you're scared, when you're stretched, when you're risking embarrassment, rejection, and failure. So here's the brutal reality. If you want to build wealth, you must destroy excuses. If you want to build wealth, you must master habits. If you want to build wealth, you must escape your comfort zone. And until you do those three things, you will stay exactly where you are, broke, stuck, frustrated, angry. So ask yourself right now, are your excuses worth your future? Is your comfort zone worth your freedom? Are your habits worth the life you'll leave behind? Because the truth is, every decision you make either builds your prison or breaks it. Let's talk about money. Not in the way broke people talk about money, crying about bills, crying about taxes, crying about how everything is expensive. Let's talk about money the way winners talk about money, as a tool, as a weapon, as leverage. Here's the brutal fact. If you don't control money, money will control you. And if money controls you, you're not free. You're a slave. That's why you need discipline. Discipline is the bridge between broke and wealthy. Discipline is the difference between paycheck to paycheck and financial freedom. Do you know why most people never save? Because saving feels boring. Do you know why most people never invest? Because investing feels risky. Do you know why most people stay broke? Because discipline feels painful. But here's the secret. Pain is temporary. Freedom is forever. When you say no to that extra coffee, no to that expensive dinner, no to that flashy car you can't afford, you're not losing. You're buying your freedom. You're buying peace of mind. You're buying years of your life back. Discipline is the ultimate wealth hack because money isn't math, it's mindset. Two people can make the same salary. One ends up rich, the other ends up broke. Why? Mindset. The broke one spends every dollar on comfort. The rich one invests every dollar in freedom. Let me tell you something insane. You don't need to make $1 million to be rich. You need to master your money. Because if you can't manage $1,000, you'll never manage $100,000. If you can't manage $10,000, you'll never manage $1 million. Money doesn't change you, it exposes you. If you're careless when you're broke, you'll be reckless when you're rich. If you're disciplined when you're broke, you'll be unstoppable when you're rich. Now let's talk about freedom. Freedom is not about yachts and private jets. Freedom is waking up and deciding how you spend your day. Freedom is not answering to a boss you hate. Freedom is not panicking every time a bill arrives. Freedom is peace, and peace is priceless. But here's the punchline. Freedom isn't free. It costs sacrifice. It costs discipline. It costs saying no 1,000 times so you can say yes to the life you want. So the question isn't, do you want freedom? Everyone wants freedom. The real question is, are you willing to pay the price? Because the people who win in life are not the smartest. They're not the luckiest. They're not the most talented. They are the ones who pay the price. They are the ones who sacrifice today so they can celebrate tomorrow. They are the ones who choose discipline over excuses, mindset over comfort, freedom over survival. And if you refuse to make that choice, you're already defeated. So let me leave you with this. Every dollar is a soldier. Every habit is a weapon. Every excuse is an enemy. And every day you're either winning the war for your future or you're losing it. Choose wisely because your freedom depends on it. Listen, Ates, you just sat here and gave me your time. That means something. That means deep down, you don't want to stay stuck. You don't want to keep living the same broke cycle. You want more. But here's the thing. Motivation without action is just entertainment. If you click off this video and go back to your excuses, you've wasted this moment. But if you decide right now to take even one small step, your entire life can begin to shift. So here's what I want you to do. Hit that like button if this message lit a fire inside you. Hit that subscribe button because this is not the last wake-up call you're going to need. I'll be here pushing you, challenging you, reminding you of the truth the world doesn't want to tell you. But the choice, that's yours. Excuses or action, comfort or freedom, broke or wealthy, you already know the answer. So don't just watch, decide. Your future self is watching you right now. Make them proud. This is Mr. David Miles reminding you excuses don't pay, action does. I'll see you at the top.